again. Yes, it's true. At the end of March, UMEME's concession, as we published, came to an end. And part of that process required the government to pay UMEME and settle what they call the buyout amount. Those are what they call undepreciated modifications and depreciated investments in full before the legal end of the concession. So what happened on 31st? We handed over the operational management, but the legal actual transfer has not actually happened until the buyout amount is paid in full. Then we communicated to the markets that government had settled $118 million of our total claim. Then we had submitted an estimate of $234 million that was due and to be paid by the government of Uganda. Subsequently, as we communicated, we notified the government by the 31st that we were not in agreement, that the 118 they paid was not consistent with the contractual definition of what the buyout amount is, and we consider that part as part payment, and therefore we escalated, putting in our dispute so that we can be paid the then balance, which was estimated at $117 million. The contracts allow us to go into what they call within 30 days. That period is called good faith negotiations, where you sit with the government side, the company side, you hear out each other with a view of negotiating, agreeing, and if possible, you can resolve that potential dispute at that stage. And indeed, government communicated, responding to our communication, where we went off for a week to engage both UMEME and the government of Uganda, represented by several agencies, including Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Energy, Attorney General Chambers, among others. So we engaged for a week, closed off. They asked for another week to go and do their own consultations. We converged again around the 20th, on the 20th, yeah, it was 20th of May for the final engagements with the team. Unfortunately, we did not resolve the matter then, and again, the contracts have clear steps on what you do next in case one step of dispute resolution doesn't come to an end. So, and that's why we have already notified the officer in charge, or the office in charge contractor, which is the permanent secretary and the secretary of the treasury, of A, end of the good faith negotiations, B, nothing material came out of those, and C, we are escalating to the next step. And as you may have read in our press release, next stage where we are, our total dispute amount claim is $292 million. And in due course, the necessary steps will be followed to ensure that we close this dispute accordingly. The contracts require that at that stage, any international arbitration will be in London, so it's international, to not be resolved locally, and then we shall go through the legal processes of that. Arising from that, any contractual award, arbitral award from that is binding to either party or both parties that are involved in the dispute. It's unfortunate we are at this stage, but as a company we remain open should we continue or have any dialogue alongside the contractual process and resolve the matter. That will be critical and important for Uganda. And for us, really, it's about following the contract. This represents the shareholder interests in the company. And sometimes we sit back and look at UMEME, even if the awards were to be made and money comes out, where will it go? You know, if you look at the shareholding structure, you see local is 40%, international is 60%. If you assume the 60% this distribution happens, are paying withholding tax of 15%, local they are paying 10%, blended you may end at around 13%. You will see 13% of that money will end up with the tax authority. Another say 25% will end up with our largest shareholder, NSSF. Another say 15% or thereabouts, local shareholders. So we look at all this as shareholder money, critical for the capital markets, and critical that the contracts are respected. And we, as a company, as management, and as guided by the board, ours to ensure that the contract is respected to the letter, up to the end. So we thought it's important to come and provide that update. This feeds into our financial reporting framework because the accountants in the room will know valuation of these assets feeds into how you report. And that's why we requested the Securities Exchange for more time. We are always we used to be the early publishers of our results. I knew by mid-May we would have done with our AGM. Unfortunately, this delay has led to delay in publishing our financials, but nevertheless, we'll have to publish them as is, as we continue to, with the legal remedies in the contract, to pursue the buyout amount that is due to shareholders. So that's the update I have for now regarding this matter. Thank you. Yeah.
118.
Look, it's 292 that we are claiming from government. As I indicated, it is the your total investment outlay minus what you have already recovered. And remember, as of 31st March, you give what they call an estimate because you have not yet closed the period. Then after you go into the period of reconciliations, then you come up with what you call your final buyout amount. So that's why we have this rise, and the total claim now as outstanding is 292. Interest accruing is not applied, and as you are aware, that interest keeps adjusting. Initially, in the first 30 days, it's 5%. The next 15 days, it will accrue at 10%. Then it escalates to 15, then to 20%. That's annualized interest. Annualized interest. Yeah. Then to Fred, we clarified on the UETCL. So at the end of the period, we had a number of reconciliations between ourselves, like any other business you'll have. So UMEME is here, we are engaging with the UETCL, we are engaging with the UEDCL, and we are reconciling these amounts between ourselves. You will not, and with due respect, most times the media will report on one side of things, but also we have our total claims. You can see in excess of 1 trillion that is due to the company. So unfortunately, always one side of the story is always captured. We are still also reconciling with the UEDCL. They took inventory. We have cut-off processes. They billed the first month of March on our behalf, so they are due to pay us. So it's normal business, and we continue to reconcile the same and settle amongst ourselves. And even the Auditor General's report was very clear: reconcile amongst yourself, ERA, UEDCL, UETCL. So UMEME is not disappearing. We are here. We will honor our obligations when they are due. So we are in that period accordingly. You asked about what new information mentioned. First of all, I would like to clarify, I do not have any information which I can use to judge how the new operator is performing, because you will have to look at key indices like the frequency of outages, duration of outages, false resolution times, new customer connection times, how long it takes to pick a phone call in the contact center, first time resolution, in the contact center, number of complaints, number of repeat. There are a number of suits or numbers which you look at based on the trend analysis to determine whether the performance is improving, is stagnant, or is getting worse. So I apologize, I don't have any information, therefore I can't judge on that. Secondly, transformers, meters, cable, that's bread and butter for any distribution company. We are running a network of 17,000 transformers across the country, all the way from Kitugum to Kisoro to Entebbe, right? And of that, Standard practice is if you're operating within 3% failure rate, it's okay. And failure, by the way, doesn't mean that the transformer has totally failed. No. You may need to deal with a fuse, you may need to deal with a loose, wiring and so on through the workshops. It's normal. For us, it's there. Transformers fail on a daily basis. Transformers are repaired on a daily basis. Transformers are restored on the network on a daily basis. So 100 out of 17,000, that was normal business, really. For me, possibly it's a shock. It's like you have grown up in a village, then you possibly get a massive exposure to a new operating environment. Then you think 100 is such a big number. From our side, that's normal operations. It was basic. That's day-to-day operation, actually. We even laughed on it. I did say, look, this is normal. It's day-to-day, which we deal with. Meters fail every day, right? You have to replace them. It's part of your day-to-day operation and maintenance of the distribution system. So it's not a shock. It's normal. Why do transformers fail? Sometimes because of lightning. You are all aware, if you live in eastern part of east-north, Lira, Soroti, a lot of lightning in that area. It strikes, injects conductors with external energy, and transformers react by failing, because if that energy is passed on to the consumers, it can burn buildings. So the only way is the transformer will fail so that energy is not transferred. Transformers fail because of tampering. We've seen cases where people are doing illegal networks, illegal wirings, and they end up, exposing transformers to failure. Transformers fail because people have vandalized. They steal what they call circuit breakers. Those things you see on the sides and on top. They are there to protect the transformer, both from the low voltage and high voltage side. So if they are tampered with or stolen and wires are put in, it means the safety valve disappears. In the case of any power shock, it destroys the transformer. That's why before Bubu was introduced on transformers, we were importing our transformers from Toshiba in India. They were coming with the self-protection. You would see, if you see those amorphous transformers where there's written no copper, it's totally protected, so people are not coming to vandalize them to look for copper or to steal oil. The fuses circuit breakers were all ingrained within. So you'd be brave to start cutting that, But just to reemphasize, when Bubu came in, that standard was dropped, and we started buying local transformers, again with the copper, with open fuses. And you all know it. Even here on the roads, today you find and we're in trouble with the express penalty scheme. You don't know this was a 30 zone, then you end up, because someone lifted the road sign, Sometimes you are guardrails, you find they have all disappeared. I've seen on some new roads, all the road signs are taken. Pallets of railway lines taken, Manhole covers in the city center taken. So we are dealing with an endemic problem, and specifically for your specific problem, 100 transformers, that's day-to-day, it's normal business. That's what we used to do for a living. It's not a shocker, unless you are shocked, but I'll be shocked that you are shocked to have a backlog of 100 transformers in a population of 17,000 transformers. Operating in 50 zones, that's an average of 1 transformer in each operating district. Come on, that's normal business.